Welcome to the Big Suey, presented by DraftKings.
Why are you listening to this show?
The podcast that seems very similar to the other Dan Le Batard podcast.
I'm sorry, I'm not going to apologize for that.
In fact, the only difference seems to be this imaging.
I have been tempted in restaurants just walking past tables to grab somebody's fries that if they're just there. That hasn't happened to you guys?
I've done it.
And now, here's the marching man to nowhere, Fat Face, and the habitual liar.
This episode of the Dan Le Batard Show is presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours.
Are you doing coffee again on an empty stomach? I feel like I can hear your stomach again.
It's not mine.
I'm pretty sure that it sounds like what I've heard in the past coming from your stomach.
Yeah.
Did you have breakfast?
I did not. I looked before the show started.
No bacon?
There's no bacon over there, which is always a big letdown.
Okay, but it's always loud when you have a ton of coffee because you're drinking coffee straight from a thermos. You've had how many cups of coffee have you already had today?
This is probably my second thermos.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
On an empty
And
stomach.
he'll keep going until like 4 p.m.
Okay.
I'm not a breakfast guy.
Well, but I hear it in your stomach.
Thank you.
Your stomach is asking you to be a breakfast guy.
I need way more coffee.
You screwed it up.
You screwed up your own line. Look at him laughing at screwing up his own line.
We didn't even notice your pickup there.
I need way more coffee.
Roger Bennett is the founder, the CEO, and the gorgeous face of the Men in Blazers Media Network. He's got another New York Times best-selling book. It's opening today, by the way, and I know it's going to be a bestseller, even though he's got previous bestsellers. We Are the World, a personal history of the world's greatest sporting event. We're 100 days out from the World Cup. Always good seeing you, Roger. Thank you for making the time for us. Greg was saying that he thinks there's the possibility that the U.S. is going to play Iran in the World Cup. I don't think Iran's going to play in the World Cup. I don't know for sure. Where are you on this? And welcome, Roger. Let's greet him with a little bit of war to start the proceedings.
Big Danny, that's a lot. We covered a lot of ground. My book, We Are the World Cup, is the official title, baby. And it is a joy to be back with you, you gracious human being. Where am I on war? Is that, you're asking me, is that the threshold question?
Well, Greg Cody thinks that the university, that there's a chance the United States will play against Iran, and I don't think that's probably going to happen.
You know, the joy of the World Cup, it's why I wrote the bloody book, man, is that when it kicks off, it's like a global eclipse that strikes the entire planet for its duration. And the memories it makes, which this is a book of memories, are so powerful because the World Cup is a mirror to the society that surrounds it. I'll be honest, Dan, I've always thought that was an amazing thing. When two teams take the field in World Cup play, you know, when the Red Sox, play the Athletics, that's an amazing game of baseball. It's like chess with chewing tobacco, but it is what it is. But when two World Cup teams take the field, their nation's histories, their nation's politics, their nation's cultures take the field alongside them. That's what makes the tournament just so much heft, so much emotional weight and all of that. And that gives us true global connectivity. I'm not going to lie. We're 100 days away. The run-up to the tournament has been chaotic. If it is a mirror to the world, what we're seeing in the reflection is ugly. But that's kind of where we are. It's like the joy of the thing has always been that it reflects our reality. And right now, our reality is pretty chaotic.
It's not global connectivity, right? I mean, where are we headed with this? What do you imagine is going to happen where the messiness from outside of the stadiums ends up inside of the stadiums?
God, the messiness, the Lionel messiness is what we need. But I'd say number one, I've come to realize that football, soccer, there's a German coach, Jurgen Klopp, who says it's the world's most important, least important thing. And I will say, to me, it's become ever more important. The feelings we experience from it are all the more powerful because of the heft, because of the weight, because of what it provides to the rest of the world. And I will say, typically when the whistle goes, when the ball's kicked, like the world, it's like the rationale falls away, the emotional kicks over, it's cognitive dissonance 1, geopolitics 0. And every World Cup, Dan, in the run-up in the modern period, 2010 in South Africa, all of the newspapers around the world were saying, the level of crime there, carjacking, everyone that goes is going to get assaulted at best, murdered at worst. It was the most joyous World Cup I've ever been to. Nelson Mandela's shadow over the whole thing, the continent of Africa rising up. 2014, I was in riots in Brazil. in the run-up to that World Cup. The nation was full of unrest, social, political unrest. They wanted social services and education, not the money to be pumped into world football. The second that kicked off, it was a bulletin. 2022 is another example in a different way. Qatar, a chaos and darkness in the run-up. And again, for good and for bad, that cognitive dissonance kicks in. So I do think by the time that ball drops, the US take the field, England take the field, Kazakhstan take the field, that we're going to be, America loves a circus, the world loves a circus, and everybody will kick in, and there will be that global connectivity because we bloody need it.
Roger, are you sure, though? Because those other examples you're talking about, those are countries and continents that care about soccer. The United States, I don't know that it can be accused of caring that way.
What are you talking about, Dan? What decade are we in? Is it 1960? Are you like Jack Kemp taking to the floor of Congress in the 80s when we were awarded the 94 World Cup and you're like, soccer? He said, I wrote about it in my book, Jack Kemp, the great quarterback, kind of great, doing a lot of heavy lifting there. He said, we need to teach America's youth that football is where you rush and run and throw and use your hands and not where you kick it. He said, one is American capitalism. The other is European socialism. Dan, soccer was The Economist just revealed soccer is the third biggest sport in America. I was just on A-Rod's show. And A-Rod kept saying, he essentially asked me 10 questions, the same one. It was like, when's this soccer thing going to take off? I was like, A-Rod, it's just beat out baseball. It's like, baseball's the fourth most popular sport. Soccer's third. He was like, go on. I was like, I felt like I was saying, Dan, and I feel like to you and your listeners, I feel like I'm like, guys, I know you think the earth is flat. Stay with me here. It's round, man. Football is already massive here, Dan. You know it is. It is
Roger,
baby number 3.
You need the United States to be good at soccer. We're never good at soccer.
With our women, kick ass, take names, baby. We are so good. Gold medal wonder winners. We perpetual. Not last World Cup, but everyone before that. We are gorgeous. Yeah, on men, we invented the Krona. We put a man on the moon. We've won one knockout game in our entire nation's history, going all the way back to George Washington. Bit embarrassing. But God, the football and sport is about eternal hope, Dan. Get behind the lads.
All right, that's one positive spin for it. I don't think this is Didier Drogba exactly stopping a civil war with the game of football, but I really appreciate your hopefulness here.
Well, Roger,
get some Kenny Powers energy behind this team. You know what I mean? You see Morocco go deep into the semi-final last time. Iceland, 220,000 people went deep in the Euros before that. I do look at it and I wonder, why never us? Why never us? I mean, you don't have to be good at football to go deep in this tournament. You just need a little bit of magic. So bloody hell, please make it. I'd like to see the US win the World Cup once on the men's side in my lifetime, Dan.
Well, the home nation generally gets a little bit of bump, as you know. Will that affect the U.S. hopes? Like, what do you think the ceiling is for how well the U.S. team might do?
It is the greatest individual set of footballers we've ever had, pound for pound, in terms of the teams they play on, the caliber of European team they play on. Collectively, it's an unknown because we're hosting. They didn't have to qualify. They've not really been tested in the crucible of... It's like they played essentially NFL preseason games for the past year and a half, 2 years. If you want me to be really honest for a second, I love this US team. I wrote about it in the book how, 94, when the Men's World Cup was last here, just moved to America. I'd never seen an American kick a soccer ball before. They took the field in stonewashed denim. They had mullets. They were chewing gum. They had swagger. And they kicked ass, and I fell in love with them immediately. I know I sound like I'm from England, but I cheer for this US team with all of my heart. And the one thing that I do fear is we were darlings at football in the World Cup 2014 in Brazil. Like, the world really loved the team and they loved the fans. I don't know if you remember Clint Dempsey, who has a show with us now, but that guy's spirit, just a gunslinger who always fancied his chances, the can-do spirit. And the fans were, just everywhere in Brazil, and the world loved us. The thing I do worry about is that mirror to the world and who we are. And last year, 2025, we played back-to-back games against Panama. Their locker room talked about, the canal and they beat us. They wanted to absolutely beat the crap out of us. And then we played Canada a couple of days later, the 51st straight brouhaha. And Canada wanted to wipe the floor with us. And so we were the darlings. We're definitely going to be a team that many, thank God Greenland aren't qualified for the World Cup is, I guess, what I'm saying.
Roger, you hosted American Fiasco about the 98 World Cup experience. It was one of the best long-form podcast series I had ever heard. And I do think there are some comparisons with the promise of a couple of years ago and a golden generation, and then this team never really found its form. Now, I know it's settled in a little bit more, but are you afraid of a couple of years from now having to do a sequel to American Fiasco?
Look, in football, you need to know what you don't know. And for that, I mean, also the American owners, you've got to remember, Dan, when you're talking about whether America cares about football, the Premier League, the best league in the world, is now the majority of teams are owned, for better or for worse, by Americans. And the ones that thrive, watching Liverpool reborn under the Red Sox ownership, Tom Werner and John Henry, when you speak to those guys, they know what they don't know about the anarchical world of football. And in that 98 World Cup, the World Cup is bloody hard to win. Only like 8 teams have ever won it in its existence. To go all the way through the tournament with supreme focus, a culture of belief, and that element of luck. But the US had not qualified since 1950. They qualified in 1990 with a team essentially of college kids. Hilarious. They were like tourists with good tickets. They got a really close-up view of the football as they got their ass kicked. And then 94, they did fine. We mystify them and say they were unbelievable. They came third in their group, got into the next round. July 4th, played against Brazil and lost valiantly. So left with their heads held high. And in 98, this is an amazing American POV, and I love it. I admire it. It's what drew me to this nation. Interviewing the players about that time, one of them said the following to me. Remember, World Cup bloody hard to win. Everybody knows how hard it is, apart from the Americans. One of them said to me, 90, we showed the world we could qualify. 94, we showed the world we belonged. 98, we were going to go there and win it. And of course, they came rock bottom. They were humiliated. They actually got beaten by Iran. I write about it in my book. I mean, a loss that set the game back probably by about 20 years in this nation. And that's the sad thing for me, as someone that loves the rise of this game in this nation. I mean, it's been the story of my life, the biography of my life. America, when I came here in 94, was like space to Captain Kirk, the final frontier for the game. We are now a true football-loving nation. But the men's national team, we love a dream team in the United States, and it remains a dream-on team, and please God, it will change in my lifetime.
The book he has is out now, We Are the World Cup, a personal history of the world's greatest sporting event. What are you expecting in terms of nations withdrawing, boycotts, all of the fun that politics will bring?
You know, we've got to get Jake Tapper on the show. Get me, Tapper, get Blitzer on, get Caitlin Collins on, and we'll go on the geopolitical tip. There'll be right now the Iran question. The answer is nobody knows. Iran have qualified for this World Cup. It was incredible. 36 hours after the weekend's news, the head of the Iranian Football Association was already putting out a statement amidst everything that was going on, saying we don't know if we'll be able to play in this World Cup. It's an unprecedented situation. Teams have pulled out of World Cups before. India, 1950, because they didn't have the money to travel to the tournament. Austria, for even darker reasons, in the 30s, because they'd been annexed by Germany, and so the Austrians played on the German team. I crap you not. Again, a mirror to the world that surrounds it. So the Iran situation is unprecedented. FIFA are trying to catch up. The FIFA, the organising committee for the World Cup, are trying to play catch up with these fast-moving realities. There's rumours that if they are not able to play, Iraq would play instead, or the United Arab Emirates. So we'll have to see. But in terms of the rest, there's been no conversation, no talk, and a couple of footballers have ruminated publicly. But again, once you get closer to this World Cup, it is crazy. We saw it with Qatar. there was a lot of ruminating in the run-up to that World Cup. And then once that ball takes the field, once Lionel Messi walks onto the field, the world is mesmerized, the world is connected, and the footballers, they dream of playing this tournament, for their whole life. And so once that goes, the tournament kicks off, and it's just, it is that global eclipse in that moment.
Who do you expect among the host countries to go the furthest? From Mexico, Canada, the U.S., you're expecting the most from whom?
I'd love the U.S. Come on. I mean, God, we need to
not hope. Not what are you hoping, Roger? You can separate your emotion from your analysis.
Without emotion, I have nothing, Dan. I'm just a broken husk of a human being. You remember, I'm dead inside. The only reason I watch football is because I feel emotions that you feel every day, Dan, like happiness, pain, sadness, triumph. Like, without football, I am genuinely dead inside. I tell you what is a fascinating storyline, and I can't wait to watch it, is Canada, led by Jesse Marsh, this child of Wisconsin, a U.S. stalwart as a player, an amazing human being. I'm super fond of him. Quite outspoken, quite. He wanted to be the U.S. coach. He believed he was going to be the next U.S. coach. He was not the next U.S. coach, and then he just became the Canadian coach. And he's built this incredible collective. They're young. They are multicultural. They're a reflection of a very beautiful, dynamic Canada. They are when he lights the taper, they are a firework of a team. Sometimes they're a damp squib. But watching them in this World Cup on home turf, they've got their own narrative of, Canada becoming a deep football-loving nation just like ours. Their Prime Minister is a massive football fan, Mark Carney, an enormous Premier League fan, huge Everton fan, which is the team I support. They're essentially like the Mets. They're just pain and agony. They're a pleasure that hurts. And so watching Canada, I think, try and win over their nation parallel to us will be dynamically beautiful.
He's an empty husk who's dead inside, and he's written another book, We Are the World Cup, a personal history of the world's greatest sporting event. It's always nice talking to you, always nice to have your insight, Roger. Thank you.
Dan Le Batard, to better days ahead, baby. That's what I will say. Thanks for having me on, and courage.
It's always good talking to you. There's something about that accent. It's not just the words that lighten up everything around here.
This episode is sponsored by BetterHelp. March is one of those months where we talk about celebrating women, and it's very, very deserved, because when you actually look around, a lot of women in our lives are carrying a ton. Work, family, relationships, expectations nobody notices or sees. I start thinking about the women around me, my wife, my mom, my sister, my friends, my coworkers, people who somehow take care of everybody else while still trying to hold it together themselves. And it's a ton to carry. Therapy can be a place to put some of that weight down. It can help you figure out what's yours, what isn't, and how to set better boundaries so you're not running on empty all the time. BetterHelp works with fully licensed therapists in the US, and they handle the matching process for you. You fill out a short questionnaire, and if your therapist isn't the right fit, you can switch at any time. With more than 30,000 therapists and over 6 million people served, it's the world's largest online therapy platform with an average of 4.9 out of 5 session ratings. Your emotional well-being matters. Find support and feel lighter in therapy. Sign up and get 10% off at betterhelp.com/DLB. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/DLB.
People always talk about New Year's resolutions, eat better, work out more, etc., etc. We might still be early in 2026, but I'm sure most of you have already broken your resolutions. Me, I'm still going. My resolutions are simple. Be comfortable, especially at the rink. If you know me, you know that hockey isn't just something I watch, it's something I live. Late nights, cold arenas, long playoff runs, you're on your feet a lot. And if your socks aren't right, you feel it badly. That's why I've been rocking Bombas sports socks. They're cushioned exactly where you need it. Sweat wicking, supportive, basically built for movement. Whether I'm at the game, skating a little myself, or pacing around during overtime like I somehow affect the outcome, they keep me locked in and comfortable. And when I finally get home to break down everything that happened on the ice, Bombas has the everyday stuff too. Slippers, tees, underwear, all ridiculously soft. It's the kind of comfort you don't think about, because you don't have to. Head to bombas.com/Dan and use code DAN for 20% off your first purchase. That's BOMBAS.com/DAN, code DAN.
Hey, it's Mike Ryan, and I want to talk to you about the random midweek hang that you have with your friends. Maybe it's an NBA game. You get a text, hey, come over, you want to watch the game? And maybe you're like, I don't know. I kind of just wanted to stay home. And then you think about it. After your buddy hits you up, and you know just the thing that'll make that regular hang, that regular midweek hang around the basketball game into a special time, into a Miller time. That's right, this happened to me just last week. I grabbed a 6-pack of Miller Lite, said I was on my way, and next thing you know, we're arguing about rotations like we're on the coaching staff, yelling about a missed call, and the game's coming down to the final possession. It was one of those nights that you look around, you take a sip, and you think, yeah, this was the right call. And my friendship's stronger for it. Cheers to legendary moments with Miller Lite. Great taste, 96 calories. Go to MillerLite.com/Dan to find delivery options near you. Or you can pick up some Miller Lite pretty much anywhere they sell beer. It's Miller time. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces.
Don Batard.
This is the quickest it goes. Hey, this is the quickest it goes.
Stugotz.
Everybody, this is the quickest it goes. Yeah.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz.
Do you guys have any opinions on Inter Miami? No parade, right? There's a championship. There was a championship, and we don't get to celebrate it with Messi and Inter Miami. But the White House, that there's going to be a White House visit, but not a parade. So they're doing this wrong.
Yeah, it seems weird, right? You got to have a parade first, and the parade should have been a month after the season ended. They blew it. And now they're going to the White House. I just hope that Inter Miami has learned its lesson from USA men's hockey to not get too chummy and do anything that's going to blow up in their face.
I wouldn't be too hopeful there. The parade point is a good one because, the sports fan answer to a team making a big deal of deciding whether or not to go to the White House is, well, it's tradition. So is having a championship parade, and they went to an Indian tour instead. Like Messi toured India, there wasn't so we are beholden to this championship celebration tradition, but not the more traditional one. This story actually made me look up how often did this happen, because I remembered the Golden State Warriors, and it was a big deal because they were the first team to kind of break that tradition. But then it became fairly commonplace. Now I know there was a pandemic in the middle of that, but the Eagles in 2018 decided not to go. I had forgotten entirely that the Georgia Bulldogs said, no thanks, Joe Biden, we won't be attending. And in this world, where there is a headline that'll blow you out of the newspapers every 12 hours, I don't see this being such a huge blowback. And look, this is an international team, so it is a little bit different. This is not, even though it's an American champion, and they have proud Cuban-American owners, which I do think matters in terms of this decision, they're not totally beholden to this. I'm curious to see how this falls on David Beckham, because I actually think he stands to lose the most here, given how unpopular. Look, Trump is super unpopular in this country. He's even more unpopular in his country. And David Beckham bringing his class and credibility into that White House, being seen in a photo op in this time in history, I think it's going to be most difficult for him to navigate. Messi has had all sorts of endorsement deals with different countries. He's like Ronaldo. No one projects morality onto Messi. He's almost bigger than anything. He's been shaking everybody's hand that's been a world leader over the last 20 years. But I am curious to see how this plays out for Beckham. I am a little disappointed. Everyone knows my feelings on the matter. I understand why they're doing it. I would say it's a little bit different, but I'm really interested in seeing what happens with Beckham.
Isn't the reason why, I feel like the reason why they never did a parade was they didn't think it'd be well attended. And I think they'd probably have been right.
I think it was the Indian tour. If you say Messi is going to be celebrating a championship, Messi is such a star that I do think it would be well attended, because everybody would want a glimpse of Messi, even though he plays in Fort Lauderdale. Depending on where they have that, you imagine a championship celebration in Doral? I think that people would have turned up for it. I think he had contractual obligations, hopped on a bird and did this Indian tour, and that was that.
I don't know. You say that, but everyone would show up to see Messi. It wasn't like, tickets were super hot this past season to show up and see Messi play soccer. I feel like
it was all over the United States. It wasn't
here,
in
though.
Fort Lauderdale where they were gouging you.
I don't know about the gouging. Tickets weren't that expensive this past season. It was pretty affordable to go to these games, and I feel like the excitement it kind of wore off. I think part of it is because Inter Miami does a horrendous job when it comes to promotion.
I am interested to see what happens with this new stadium. The get-in price for the new stadium kickoff game.
First game's a lot.
It's a lot, but the second game,
Yeah, after that, it's
not
very
so much.
affordable. Yeah.
Also, with a parade, that gives opportunity from people from California, Nevada to come to the parade and gather versus going to the game in Fort Lauderdale. So that parade
People
was
like
popping.
free stuff, man.
Yeah,
Free celebrations are things that are attended. Winners get crowds.
I don't think the parade would have drawn hundreds of thousands of people. I think it might have drawn 10,000, but that's enough. You have to have a parade. Bestow a parade upon your most loyal fans. They expect it. They deserve it.
I think you're right that it would have drawn something like 10,000, and that's an extremely poor shot.
I mean, we didn't really care about. I mean, maybe Mike did, but like we didn't mention the parade until this. Now that they're going to the White House, I mean, I feel like we're kind of.
Well, I was waiting for the parade, and then it just didn't come, and I was confused by the absence of a parade.
Yeah, I was waiting for it too, and it went to India.
You can't tell me. You guys think, look, I know South Florida has this reputation. You guys think a champion Messi's going to be going through free streets, our streets here, that are this Hispanic and people wouldn't be going to a parade?
That thing gonna look like Freaknik out there, bro. I promise you.
It may not have been like your traditional parade, but they could have had like, hey, come celebrate with this team, and like, I don't know, downtown Doral. Like they could have had a championship celebration.
You
Hell,
guys-
the Big Three team had a championship
You guys
celebration.
are really underestimating how Latin people like to get out there with their pots and pans to celebrate anything that's for free.
Are you guys a bad sports city? I feel me and Juju went to Unrivaled the other night, which is, women's 3-on-3 that just sold out Barclays Center. Over 18,000 people. They only had less than 10 days in order to buy those tickets and sell out. We didn't know that the semifinals were even going to be there until just last week. And we go to the soundstage, and me and Juju were the only ones in there cheering. And I thought to myself, is this a Miami thing?
Trysta, go tell Unrivaled. How about you lower the price a little bit? I checked the prices for that for those games down
Free
here.
stuff.
It is way too expensive. Lower the price, Unrivaled. Lower the price.
So Unrivaled too expensive, Inter Miami not gouging. I want to make sure I have this straight from Zaslow, where he thinks there's an affordable Messi ticket in town.
I think he is less willing to pay for women's sports than he is.
Wow.
What an accusation.
That is an accusation.
Unrivaled is thriving. Unrivaled. Did you see these numbers on Unrivaled and their business? Now, David Sampson has told us he believes the WNBA is going to have a work stoppage.
Not to throw you more under the bus, but I did offer you to talk to Kristen and get your free credential, and you said, we'll see.
Okay, hold on. I was working. You went on Saturday night.
And I also offered Wednesday.
I know, and I'm busy.
See?
Sexist.
Your stories are
I hate
falling
to be that girl.
It seemed like you enjoyed being that girl. It seemed like you really trapped him. You cornered him with an assortment of options, and now it's just, I'm busy that Wednesday.
With all that's going on with the WNBA and the CBA, here's how Unrival's revenue breakdown this season was. In merchandise, they made $4 million, which is a 100% increase from last year. The ticketing, they made $5 million. The total revenue was $45 million, a 66% increase. I mean, I think they're thriving.
They found an avenue. They do have a bit of a campus near the airport, which is not something that you ever see down here in South Florida. They built a city for these women to have a concentrated area where they have. It's a city. It's just it's a campus where they can play and really challenge the WNBA. You got to think, even though they're different seasons in timing, you've got to think that Unrivaled would be possibly rooting for a work stoppage in the WNBA to get stronger as a league?
Well, remember, that was a theory when Nafisa Collier got up there with her whole speech about Kathy Engelbert. She's the worst leader in the history of the world. And part of the theory there was, she and her husband, there's like an ownership stake they have in this other league if the WNBA has a work stoppage. That was a theory.
How can Unrivaled continue to be a success when they play in front of, 800 fans?
Oh, it's for television.
I know.
It's made for television. Sports in general, Greg, don't need fans to attend the games anymore.
No,
it just needs to be actually, it's a soundstage is what it is.
Yeah, but it's sad though. Right?
I would say you're both right. Yes, it is sad to attend something where I feel that there are maybe fans that aren't real sports fans that are in high levels of attendance, that are not passionate about all sports. But number two, they went to Philly. They sold out that arena. They went to New York. They sold out that arena.
It's an us problem.
It is kind of an us problem. It's a soundstage problem. It's a pricing problem. But you could take this thing on the road, baby. Go to all different NBA arenas all season long. Say we get a work stoppage. Unrivaled has said, hey, we could blow this thing out to 5-on-5. We could blow this thing out to more teams. We could just keep going. We're set up for that. I think the thing that Juju pointed out, though, that is really important, that I don't know if David Sampson has any information to share with us on, is, listen, we got some revenue numbers in the second year. I don't see any transparency with the numbers for the WNBA, which actually is a violation of the National Labor Relations Act.
Exactly. WNBA going to end up tricking themselves out the streets because as they're growing, the Unrivaled League, which it is, 18,000 fans last night showed up in Brooklyn. The blueprint has been put out by the big three to show you this thing can work. Ice Cube, salute. Here, West Coast, West Side. Bruh, this thing can work. And I think that the Unrivaled League is putting so much more pressure on them CBA meetings than it would have actually been without them. So I think that Unrivaled might be, I didn't talk to anybody, I don't know anything, but if you got stock to buy, if you got some free money, I would invest in the Unrivaled League.
You know about that tricking yourself off the street, Dan?
You know about that National Labor Relations Act?
You know about that West Side, Greg?
West Side?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I've been there.
You've been there.
Just got back from Vegas.
That's not really what he was talking
A little
about.
further west than that.
I know.
Your little one grew 3 inches overnight. Adorable. Also, expensive. Sell their pint-sized pieces on Depop and list them in minutes with no selling fees. Because somewhere, a dad refuses to pay full price for the clothes his kids will outgrow tomorrow. And he's ready to buy your son's entire wardrobe right now. Consider your future growth spurt budget secured. Start selling on Depop, where taste recognizes taste. Payment processing fees and boosting fees still apply. See website for details.
Don Batard.
Billy, somebody has written in here, I need way more.
I'm sorry.
I just said in his headset, haven't you been to all of them too?
It sounded like you were speaking aloud. My bad. Totally on me. That's 100% on me. All right. Yeah.
Stugotz.
Well, that goes without saying.
Right.
That it couldn't happen.
Well, no, he said it didn't. He didn't say it.
He said it again.
Yeah, that was just in my head again.
Greg,
My apologies sincere.
Greg, why? Greg.
Yeah.
Greg.
He apologized. I mean,
Greg.
Sincerely.
This is the Don Batard Show with the Stugotz.
I want to cover with you guys here what NBC and Peacock are doing tonight. We are on Peacock. We're on NBC Sports Now every day, 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern. And they're doing a throwback. And I wonder, when they do John Tesh and they do some of the nostalgia that they're doing with basketball that's tailored to my demo and Greg Cody's demo, when they have Hannah Storm and Mike Fratello and Bob Costas, and just a different time in basketball coverage when NASCAR's champion Michael Jordan was ruling all of sports. I want to play a clip for you of Pat Riley. I wonder how many people know or remember remember that when Pat Riley was out of coaching for a while, he went and did television with Bob Costas, and he did it really poorly. Pat Riley talks about how Bob Costas had to coach him up, how starched he was. He was not good at television, but he was very presidential. He was very he was very slick, obviously. Let's play a clip as Peacock and NBC celebrate the old times tonight.
Here's Bob Costas and Pat Riley.
Okay, the Chicago Bulls trying to get even before we head back to Los Angeles with the lead of 48-43 at halftime. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this, I guess, is what some of you have been waiting for, and I must say that I am tremendously disappointed. This is what I labored all season for, and apparently this gunk has been so trained in your head that even when you blow dry, all we get is this. I mean, what's the deal?
But we ought to really, I have something to say right at the end of this analysis, and then if we get into the analysis, then we'll see what it really looks blow dry.
You got a brush in your pocket or what?
I got one right here, Robert.
Well, America demands to see it right now.
Well, right at the end of the analysis, we're going to get a good comb job here.
Okay. Before we go to this commercial break, you want to give it one more try?
It moves. It really doesn't move. It really doesn't. I'm doing the very best I can. Oh, wait.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
That's what we want to see. Okay. That's what we want to see. Right there. Right there. Now we do it. That's about it. That's it.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is certainly one of the proudest moments of my career. We've got to call a timeout. After this, an update from the French Open, and then we'll complete the starting five from North Carolina's 1982 NCAA championship team.
I'm sure for the audio audience, the chemistry was just off the charts, too.
Awkward. Really awkward. How about that score? 48-43 at the half.
Jeez.
I don't make them like that anymore.
Zaslow, how do you feel about going into the nostalgia bucket for this stuff?
Love it. Look, they're smart. Who doesn't love nostalgia? You're watching that broad. I loved
young people.
Well, okay, but there's also a major demographic that has money that loves nostalgia. And I loved everything about that clip. Bob Costas was so young there. I loved seeing Riley, the music, they're going full on with those graphics tonight, NBA on NBC. I'm into that broadcast tonight.
I am too, and I'm surprised. With everybody so hungry for content now, I'm surprised they don't do the nostalgia thing more often. For example, I would listen to at least part of an NFL game with Howard Cosell and Don Meredith. You know what I'm saying?
That would be amazing, given
era.
that they're both dead.
Right.
A miracle.
Right, but I mean a replay of them back in the
I don't think you're going to watch
early
this.
70s.
I don't think you can find this. I don't think that you know how to find Peacock on your television.
Isn't it NBC?
It's Peacock.
Well,
Channel
NBC is NBC.
Channel 6. I don't know. I asked my wife.
Channel 6.
Find
I'll
Peacock
ask,
for me.
and so that's where it'll end, and then you'll be in the garage having beer, not watching basketball.
No, I'll bring my beer into the house.
You got
and
lucky this time, bunny
watch
ears.
2 minutes of it. I'll watch 2 minutes of it.
You'll walk by.
I will wax nostalgic.
There is a news item, because when I saw the list of people there, I was like, oh, I'm into this. But there was one name I was scanning for, and I didn't see. And then I was just waiting for him to react to being omitted.
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
Come on.
I know who you're talking about.
Zaz, you know about that?
Everybody hates him, though. Everybody hates him.
Dan, you know about that Peter Vesey?
Yeah, everyone dislikes Peter Vesey.
Right, and I know that. So just let's put that lightning rod in the middle of it, because he is so cranky.
Yeah.
Was when in his heyday, when he was a huge part of that show. I would love to throw him in there. Didn't Michael Jordan say terrible things about him in his speech?
Yes, exactly. Do you realize how hated you have to be for somebody in the Hall of Fame speech to point you out and talk shit about you?
Yeah, but when that person is Michael Jordan, you kind of understand. He seems pretty petty with it.
Michael Jordan's was among the angriest Hall of Fame speeches I've ever heard. Like, he wasn't even celebrating it. It was just sort of taking out all of his doubters and Peter Vesey. When it comes to what's happening in basketball at present, last night, Trae Young gets ejected from a game before he's actually played for the Wizards. What are you shaking your head about?
It's just hilarious. It's so Trae Young. It's like, way to introduce yourself.
How is it so Trae Young to be ejected before you've played your first Wizard game?
One of the bad boys.
That's one of the reasons he's no longer in Atlanta, is that they got tired of his act.
His act was not playing defense, and a bad hairline. Other than that,
I know what I know.
Not exactly like Ron Artest.
What do you know?
Do you even know the details of what he did to get ejected?
He was arguing a call, right?
One of his, two of his guys got cheap shotted, and he was arguing, defending his players to the refs, why are you not calling that?
Okay, and then he got thrown, right?
Classic Trae Young.
He was defending his teammates, though.
Okay, he's not even in the game. You don't do that from the bench.
Well, I'd say, actually, I would say that if you're going to punish Trae Young in that situation, you make him stay there and watch the Wizards play.
Well, he didn't do it from the bench. He ran out into the court. That's why he
got ejected for going onto the court.
He's actually expected to make his Wizards debut finally this week.
Right.
I think his true crime was letting the spittle stick in his beard while he was arguing. Get out of here. I'm ejecting you. I don't care.
I'm going to vomit.
Do you guys think it's actually bad if you're Trae Young to be sent away from there early and you don't have to spend any more time watching the game? You could I don't think you have to stay around after that if you get ejected from the bench.
Capital One, worst arena in all of the NBA by far. It is a Best Buy at best. Very blaring Best Buy halogen lamps, terrible crowd. I would want to be out of there if I was Trae Young as well.
It does make me laugh when I hear Heat fans complain about the present state of the Heat, and I look at an organization like that playing in a warehouse where you can hear all of the speaker and the DJ because there's no bodies for it to bounce off that care about anything. Imagine the history of the Wizards is so profoundly bad that I really don't think it's a penalty to send him away early from that game.
I think if my dad saw the clip of because one of his teammates got run over and they just weren't calling anything. I feel like if you saw the plays leading up to it, you would be like, I see why he's arguing there.
He knows what he knows. He doesn't need more information, not just about this. In life, he's done. Greg Cody is done accumulating information. He knows what he knows, and that information either supports his belief or is to be rejected.
Bulletin. In the NBA, if you're on the bench and you run onto the court, you tend to be punished for it. I don't know if Trae Young didn't know that, but if I'm a Wizards fan, all excited about getting Trae Young, and this is how he introduces himself.
Are we still doing bulletins? Bulletins?
I do, bulletin.
You just announced bulletin. But put it on the poll at Batard Show. Do you know what a bulletin is? Nostalgia night on Peacock. He won't be watching. He can't find it.